Welcome back, Chico and the Grin, episode 21. I'm here, half your host, Chico, and I'm here with
The Grin.
And we're here uptown in Inwood recording episode number 21.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in for 21 episodes. We greatly appreciate you and your attention, however little it might be. We're coming to you to talk to you about a few things today. We had a little podcast outing on Tuesday.
Oh yeah,
we went to
movie.
To go see A Quiet Place, and I thought it would be the perfect time to go see this movie because we're always talking about the end of the world. We're always talking about shit hitting the fan. Why not go see A
but
Quiet
you actually
Place?
cover up your face when we watch the movie.
Yeah, because I was scared.
Like, what the fuck?
Scary movies scare me. They do a good job with me. I am terrified of all the things that are scary. And this is the worst kind of scary movie because it's all things that pop out. It's all scary monsters. It's like blah you turn around the corner and blah. It's the worst.
I dozed off for a second, and then I'm looking over, and this dude's like scared. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? You choke people out in jiu-jitsu all the time.
Yeah, but this ain't the same thing. I can't choke out one of those things. That's the difference. Listen, anybody who knows me knows I like scary movies, but I get scared easily. It's one of those things. It scares me. I'm very scared.
I did look up the story of the creatures.
Oh, you did?
The article, and he was like, yeah, he wrote out everything.
Well, let's backtrack a little bit before we get into that.
Oh, okay.
Let's start.
I didn't know we had a formula.
No, but let's let them know what the movie is or what it might be. So
the movie's called A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place, and it's written by Jim Straczynski,
something like that.
The guy from The Office plays Jim, the tall, skinny one.
White guy.
Right. So basically, it takes place at the end of some crazy shit happens. These creatures show up.
Yep.
And these creatures are attracted to noise. They're blind.
Yep.
But they have very acute hearing.
Bulletproof skin.
So this guy with his family, his wife, his daughter, his son, and his other son. The movie starts out that
and a
way.
baby.
And the baby comes a little bit later. Yeah. Which I think is a bad idea, and I'll get into that in a minute. Basically, they're trying to survive. So they've gone ahead. The world seems to have been wiped out of population. Like there's very few humans left on the planet.
Yep.
And they're, the whole premise is that they can't make a noise, so they can't talk. A lot of the movies done with sign language or with hand motions or with facial expressions.
75% of the movie was just silence.
Yeah. And did you notice that directly impacted the crowd in the theater?
Yep.
Like I could hear people 2 rows behind us eating Doritos.
Yeah.
Like you could hear it.
It's like, what the fuck?
You could hear people breathing. It was one of those things where it influenced the movie from the very beginning of the movie, set the tone for the audience of how they need to behave for the rest of this movie. And it was to the point where people behind me were rustling in their bag, and I turned around. They weren't even talking. I turned around and looked at them while they're rustling their bag.
But everything was making so much noise.
Right. So the idea, I think the idea of the movie fits pretty well with our theme of the show, where we're just always talking about being prepared. What would you do if of course, this is a sci-fi movie. It's pretty extreme, but I found the movie to be pretty entertaining. I thought it was good for what it was.
It had a survival aspect, but not about shit hits the fan or disaster movie. It was more like the aftermath of surviving.
Right. Like, what do you do once everything after you've somewhat assimilated to the situation? Like, how do you go about living?
It's like they say, if there was let's say a civil unrest type of situation, right? They're like most people would die off in 3 weeks from either murder, crime, and lack of food, right? Because they say people are 2 paychecks away from starvation.
Yep, which is sad.
So there's always that scenario. Is perfect example be Hurricane Katrina. How do you survive after the fact? The disaster came, it went. Rescue's not coming anytime soon. So how are you going to make it? This movie is like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because they show a lot of what the main character...
And they tell you the timeline.
Yeah, they tell you how many days in. So the movie starts in at 38 days, I believe.
I think it was 42.
Yeah, and then as it progresses after... I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. I don't know, should we?
Fuck it.
All right, so if you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry, but you're about to get spoiled. But early on in the movie, since everything's about being quiet, the littlest child of this family finds
I don't know if we should tell that part because that is what people are talking about the most in that movie is that scene. So I don't know if we should mention that.
Okay, good point.
Yeah,
all right, I'm glad you stopped me. So essentially you see the father of the family collecting radio parts, doing anything he can. Like this guy's like a genius, I guess, because he's like engineering his way to making these earpieces for one of his kids who's deaf. The mother is like a doctor. Apparently, she's also a teacher. Like they're basically doing everything within their reach to stay, I guess, relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever they can. They grow their own food. They have like this entire system of light bulbs set up around the house. So if something happens, they don't have to make a noise. They just switch
the signal.
They pull a switch, and the lights change colors from like regular lights to red light bulbs. It's like very primitive, but also very advanced at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that you could do a lot with a little bit if you plan it out. There's a scene where the father takes one of the sons to go show him how to do the certain things that he does in case anything would happen to him. And the little kid's like, what, like 9, 10?
Probably
little.
Younger.
Kid's pretty little.
He's young.
And his father goes and shows him where he has the fish trap so he can get the fish. Shows him, just around, shows him like hidden areas where he could make noise because it's being masked by the river or the waterfall or whatever. It's a good movie. I recommend it. What I did realize though, I guess it kind of makes sense, but there was like a real lack of guns. There was like one gun in the entire movie, and I'm guessing it's because they're fucking loud, right? And you can't fight them all, and they have bulletproof armor.
Yeah.
So I mean, what were your thoughts overall on the movie?
I enjoyed it. It was very entertaining, very very well done. The silence aspect of it reminded me of like when I saw Castaway.
Yeah.
Because I think for like 45 minutes in the movie Castaway, there was no dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It was just you're watching the guy on an island do stuff.
Yeah, that movie was also kind of trippy.
Yeah, and it was also a survivor movie. This movie was I like the way it started. I wasn't too happy with the ending exactly. And when I say the ending, I mean like literally the last 2 minutes of the movie. Yeah. But overall, man, I would say it would be like a 8 out of 10.
You would rate it that high, 8 out of 10? Oh, that's pretty good.
Because I think the idea of the creatures was very original.
I guess.
The way they looked, and I read that he worked with ILM.
Oh, really?
On a creature design, yeah.
Interesting.
The concept of the movie is kind of unique.
Yeah. I mean, I like that there was a mystery part to it. Like, the movie just starts you there.
Yeah, you just jumped right into the story.
There's no leading story to tell you what happens.
No narration.
It doesn't show you the family before this shit happened. It just shows you them like in the middle of it, like in an empty supermarket looking for stuff, looking for medicine for one of the kids. It thrusts you right into the world that they're living in, which I think is very clever. I don't know. There was just a weird feeling. Like the ending, I wasn't super happy with. It was a little cheesy. The idea, so in the movie they have another child. They have a baby, and that whole thing made me like, why would you have a baby in this? Like you're literally in the worst predicament any human.
I thought that whole situation. Every time they showed that kid, I was like, you're either gonna drug this kid so he's sleeping all the time, because ain't no way a baby is not gonna make that much noise.
Right. That's what I thought too.
And that kid was just like silent. I was like, oh, this kid's gonna be born like mentally disabled or something.
Yeah, something.
Something's not right. The baby's not crying.
Yeah, like, and when they show that the mother's pregnant, I'm like, first off, this world's crazy. Second off, if you're living in this kind of world, your paw game needs to be on another level. You need to like not even be shooting loads into your girl. Like, are you crazy? Like, what if she died during birth?
Hey, we can make it work.
That's why. That's the movie shit. That's the movie shit. If I was at the end of the world and my chick was like, let's have a baby, I'm like, are you crazy?
Yeah,
Are you crazy?
That was kind of...
That is wild. But then...
Stupid.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I'd probably give the movie like a 6.5, maybe a 7.
Wow.
Because there were just certain things that I was just like...
Well, I said a 7.
You said 8.
Oh, well. Whatever. Yeah.
There's just certain things about the movie that I thought were really cool, which overshadowed the things that I didn't like. But overall, some of the things that I didn't like were just a little too obvious for my taste.
Yeah.
For my taste.
Like what?
The baby thing is one. The idea of having another baby. Well, the idea of having a baby, how they dealt with the baby. And then the fact that the father seemed to really hinder the girl from
everything.
Yeah. And then it turns out that she's the one who saves them all. It's a little cliche.
I have one thing that bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're in this house.
Yeah.
Right.
House and barn.
Yeah. So, matter of fact, I think it was the barn part. They were there for a while.
It's a compound.
Right? They were there for a while. The guy's going up and down the stairs to the basement to work on the tech and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
It's been established.
Yep.
Over a year, they've been in this place.
Mm-hmm.
So how come there's a nail sticking out from the stairs?
Yep.
Who the hell did that? Who put the nail backwards into the stairs? Like, what was the point of that?
That's the same thing I thought. I'm like, all these precautions that they take, and throughout the movie you see in the house that the guy lives in, there's painted things on the floor to tell you where to step so the boards don't creak. That's how serious they took that. Yet this motherfucker has a nail going through that somehow got pulled up by a burlap sack holding laundry.
Wait.
When she was dragging the laundry bag before her wardrobe, that's what pulled the nail up.
Maybe I was asleep during that part.
You might have been. I looked over. You were knocked out a few times.
Oh.
And then you see it, you're like, but how? Wait a minute.
Wait, how did a bag pull out a nail?
Exactly.
Because the nail was sticking up through the step.
Right. There's a scene where she's filling these bags, these almost like potato sacks, with the laundry, and she's carrying she's pregnant, so she's like feeling like she's wobbling around. She's not very strong. So she has one sack over her shoulder, and she's dragging another sack up the stairs because she can't lift it. And it like gets caught, and she like pulls it, and you just see that it's stuck on a nail. So either the bag pulled the nail up, or she's just always avoided this nail that's been there. That caught. It was weird. I didn't know where that nail came from. I thought it seemed like maybe it was like a last minute addition. But the minute you see the nail, you know someone's stepping on it.
It's a big ass nail.
Yeah, it was like 3 inches long, and man, she stepped on that thing.
Didn't cry.
She yelped, and she dropped something, and she thought she was good, and then that fucking beast thing showed up.
Aliens.
Yeah, I really want to. Is that what they said?
That's what he said. Yeah.
He said they're aliens.
Yeah, he said they're aliens.
Just straight up aliens.
Yeah, he said there was something where something happened to their planet. It exploded or something, and then they crashed here. Not like in a spaceship, but it was like, I guess, a chunk of their planet or whatever. But they crashed here on Earth, and that's how they came into our population. And they're supposed to be like the perfect species that evolved over time, like the perfect predator. So their planet. This is just. It has nothing to do with the movie. This is just in an article that he gave an interview on. He was saying, because he had to write out the whole story. He's like, I want to know everything about. I'm making a movie. I want to know everything, right? Everything needs to have a purpose, right? Basically. So he was saying that their planet didn't have a sun, which is why they don't have any eyes. They never had a need for eyes. They're always in the dark. So that's why their hearing is so evolved, and it's also protected by that shell, right? Which also protects their face, which is how they get, killed at the end.
Right.
So he just talks about it, and he's like, they crashed here on the planet, and then being ultimate predators, they just wipe us out, and there's nothing we can do about it until you see the movie. Then they figure stuff out. It's like,
that's interesting that you would leave it to a deaf girl to figure that out. I don't know. The relationship between the deaf girl and her dad was very odd to me. And again, I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, but there's a scene that you kind of can tell is coming. Mm-hmm. I didn't think he would get it that bad that quickly. And the movie also felt short to me. Did it feel short to you?
It wasn't a long movie.
Right? It felt like there could have been more.
Because it started at 7:30, maybe about half hour for previews, right? So about 8. We were out like at 9:30, I believe.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a long movie.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I felt like maybe part of it was by the time we got to that ending scene, when that happened, I felt like there was going to be a lot more to the movie left, and then it just ended. I don't know. I feel like I was left wanting a little bit more or expecting the movie to run a little bit longer, at least for the other two, because in the movie they address or they show he has like these newspaper clippings and this whiteboard. He writes out that there's 3 of these creatures in their area.
Yeah.
And you really only see one throughout the main part of the movie, and then at the end you see the other 2 emerge from the cornfields or whatever. But yeah, that's our analysis of A Quiet Place. Go check it out. It's a good movie. It's fun. It's entertaining.
Very good movie.
Yeah, the next movie I'm going to go see is going to be Infinity War next week on Friday.
I returned my tickets.
You return your tickets?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it was at 2:30 in the morning.
You going to go see it the next day, or what are you going to do?
I mean, I'm just going to keep looking to see if I can get tickets either during the daytime or after work.
Yeah. You have to go during the week.
2:30. I was like, man, I don't really
No,
wanna go
you
at
probably wouldn't even
2:30,
enjoy the movie that early that late at night.
because I know like to be out, I'll probably just be out drinking all night.
Yeah,
like,
you probably pass out in the theater.
exactly.
Should we recap Infinity Wars on one of the episodes we do next?
Yeah. Do you know if they're gonna be at Alamo? They're gonna show. It's probably gonna be sold out at Alamo.
Oh, the Alamo Draft House is gonna be sold out on that thing for a while.
Shit.
Yeah, but like I said, that's our review of.
Let's do a review of Infinity War.
Yeah, cool. All right, moving on to more pressing topics. We're gonna take a little shift towards the dark side of things going on. So, John, why don't you tell us what's been happening with Starbucks and why they may or may not be racist?
All right. Well, let me say that I used to work for Starbucks.
Really?
Yeah, man.
I learn something new about you every day.
When I first came to New York, well, I can't even say New York because I lived in Jersey at the time. But when I first came to New York to do my thing, I was living in Jersey and I couldn't get a job. So anyways, I was in the city trying to do the art thing. Still couldn't get a job. So Starbucks, believe it or not, on a whim of me just like going door to door, trying to fill out applications, get somewhere, get some cash. I wound up working there. They were very friendly. Everybody was very cool. And it was a type of environment that they would hire everybody as part-time. But they have the way the system was set up, you could pick up hours at any store in the city.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I always made 40 hours.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. So it was like, for me, it was a part of my story in New York, how I got started.
That's pretty cool.
And it was mad flexible.
That's very cool.
So I was like,
because they're open pretty late.
Yeah.
So you could take a late shift.
So check this out. So at one point, I was going to school. I was going to Gibbs, doing my thing with school. And then I had a paid kind of internship in Midtown. So I started working in fashion. And then I would bust my ass at Starbucks at night. I would close, right? And that was my shift.
That's a long day.
But I would also pick up hours. So it was like, yo, they would call me up, John, yo, we got a spot. Somebody called in. You want to come work? I'm like, I'm there.
And let me just hold you up here. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what I say when you move to New York City and you're a creative person. You either have the drive to bust your ass and make a living, or you don't. And that's what separates people who become successful.
Yeah.
And that's why I consider John a very successful artist because he's making a living off his art. Nobody gave him that when he got here. He's working 3 jobs. Yeah. One of them being a Starbucks. I'm not saying anything bad about Starbucks, but most people have they look at food service as kind of like, or a coffee shop is kind of like a menial job.
It's a shitty job.
Yeah, but it gave you what you needed.
I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
So
continue.
And at one point, I even left, because I was doing well, started getting like full-time design jobs and stuff. And then that didn't work out after a while. Called my old boss up. I was like, yo, I need a job. She was like, come back. Just like that. It was like, so for me, Starbucks, the company, it was a part of my story in New York, right?
Yeah. And
not only that, but they had insurance and they had employee stock options.
That's awesome.
So yeah, man, I had shares in the company and all of that. So they were good to me. So I can't really like shit on them. And I know one guy that still works there.
Wow.
Yeah, man, he's been there for like almost 20 years now.
Wow, 20 years.
Yeah, about that. Maybe less.
What year was this that you were at Starbucks?
Because I came to New York in 2001.
Oh wow.
I think I got in Starbucks in 2002.
Damn, I was still in high school.
Yeah.
No,
man.
I wasn't even in high school. I was in middle school in 2002.
So I worked there for like, I think a total of maybe 2-3 years. But then again, remember I said I took a break.
Right.
I left, but I came back and just did some more time. But it was cool. But anyway, so me knowing about the inside, let me put out one fun fact. I'm not trying to pump Starbucks because I don't even like their coffee. I think it's burnt. But when I was there, before they sold out to like the whatever company owns it now. Yeah. When I think it was Tom Schultz was still the owner, the guy from Long Island. He bought it from the guy in Seattle. Right. And Tom Schultz was the guy who made it. I think that's his name. And he's the guy who made it big. But their thing was, they made all their money without advertisement. Yeah. That was like their claim to fame. It was like, no, we made these millions of dollars without one single ad anywhere. And I remember the first time I saw an ad in Times Square for Starbucks, and he was like, everybody was like, what? It was like, yeah, there was like a little billboard thing.
Sellouts.
And the next thing you know, there was like a whole revamp in the company. They started advertising. But yeah, man, the guy that owned the company, he made millions without a fucking ad. That's amazing.
That is, and that's
It's like all those stores that they had, no advertising.
Right. I remember when Starbucks wasn't even in New York City.
It's like fucking word of mouth.
Yeah, I remember people were just like, "Oh, did you hear about this place called Starbucks? It's from like Seattle, from like Pike Place in Seattle." And it was like all this, like even I remember my first real my first real memory of knowing that Starbucks was a big deal was in the Austin Powers movie. Do you remember? I think it was Austin Powers.
The one with Beyonce?
No, it was like. I think it was the second one.
Okay.
There was a scene where Dr. Evil and Mini-Me are drinking coffee in a white cup with a green label on it, and it looked like a Starbucks logo, and had all this foam on it. And he sipped it. He had all this foam on his nose, and it was just so ridiculous. I was like, "What is that?" And I after that, I slowly realized it was this thing called Starbucks.
Okay.
And it wasn't in New York City. It was like maybe it was on its way east. And but I remember when they opened the first Starbucks in New York City, everybody was like. And like it was like insane. It was insane to get to that Starbucks. And now they're everywhere. There's one in my building. There's one downstairs. If you leave my building and make a right, there's one right at the corner. And I go there every morning and I get my coffee.
They haven't been doing well because I've seen a few close in the city. And that's
really?
always a bad sign.
That's Well, remember when there was a Starbucks, like 3 Starbuckses in like on every block. Yeah. There was 2 on one side and 1 on the other. There was a Starbucks literally. If you went to one Starbucks and there was a big line, go to the one across the street. There's no line. It's so strange. But I mean, I'm kind of happy to see some of them close. But that's the only one in this area, really. So the one downstairs in my building. Now, so what happened exactly?
But let me before we get into that, let me mention one more thing.
Sure.
So I have a history with Starbucks, so I see the company as something a little different. It's personal. It's part of my personal story, right? It's part of my story of how I made it. But over the years, as I said, the company shifted, the politics shifted. A few things I don't like about Starbucks is like who they donate money to. Right.
Okay.
The prison
guard union.
Prison labor.
Okay.
They're a big part of that.
Really?
Just like Whole Foods, man.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So, and they donate money to like organizations in Israel, which goes against like the Muslims and all that. So it's like there's a lot of things that they're connected to at the corporate wise that I don't agree with. So I'm not trying to sit here and say like Starbucks is a great company that I don't back it. I'm just telling you a story from my experience of working with the company,
right?
Into what's going on now. So lately in the news, there was an incident down in Philadelphia, my hometown, right? Which 2 guys were waiting on a friend, and the manager calls the cops because she said they were trespassing, right?
How do you trespass in a business that people sit down and just have laptops out?
That's what I said. I was like, how's it trespassing? So they called the cops. And the thing was, they called the cops. Cops come. The guy's friend, he came, who's a white guy. He shows up, and he tried to talk to the cops, right? But the 2 guys get arrested. They get out of jail, like, I think it was like 2 in the morning or something like that.
Damn.
With no charges, right?
Of course. What charges? They didn't do anything wrong.
The good thing that they did was, like, these guys did not argue with the police.
Yeah.
They complied. They were quiet. They were very like docile. And I'm like, unfortunately, that's the way you got to be nowadays.
Yeah.
Right. You can't put up a fight. You can't argue. You just got to be like, fuck it. Just go to jail and do your fight.
Yeah.
In front of the judge.
In the legal system.
Yeah. So they did that, and I was like, good, because this didn't need to go the other way.
Yeah. That would have been real bad.
Now, the incident itself caused a lot of stir because a lot of people were like, what the fuck? Even the people that were there. You know, one lady's taking the video. She was like, "Yo, this is nonsense." You know, she's talking about it. And I'm like, good for her, because I always say racism exists because it's not because of people of color complaining about racism and all that. It exists because white people let it exist.
Right.
Right? Because, like, let's say somebody tells a racist joke. If a bunch of white people, they be like, "Oh, I'm not racist, but my friend just said this." I'm like, well, you didn't check your friend on that?
Yeah.
This is why shit escalates the way it is. You know, it gets out of hand because white people aren't checking their friends and family. This was a situation where it goes the opposite. People were just like, no, these dudes didn't do shit. What the fuck? Yeah. And they were speaking up about it. I was like, this is good. This is good, because you have people that it didn't affect them, but they stood up and they were like, this is nonsense. Yeah. Why are you arresting these guys? You should let them go. And that's what was on the video. And I was like, this is good. Now, I want to know what happened to that manager who called the police.
They got fired.
Well, that's good.
They got let go. Yeah, they I saw that. They let that person go.
Now, the issue I had with the situation was like people, you know how people are on the internet. They want to
people on the
jump
internet,
to some
people
shit.
On the
They
want love and kind.
They want to be all aggressive and shit.
Right.
I'm like, well, first and foremost, it's not Starbucks. It's not Starbucks because it's not the company. It's not like Starbucks is one store in Philadelphia.
Right.
If a Starbucks was one store in Philadelphia and somebody said, well, this store is racist, I'm like, okay, it's one fucking
It's
store.
a franchise.
This is a No, well.
Is it a franchise?
No, I don't think it's a franchise.
Oh, so they own every Starbucks that pops up?
I don't think it's, I don't think it's.
So it's not a McDonald's.
Yeah, I don't think it's like that.
Interesting. I thought they were individually owned and operated.
No, I don't believe so. Unless they changed, but I don't think Starbucks is a franchise.
Yeah, fair enough.
I know Dunkin' Donuts is a franchise.
Yeah, for sure.
Owned
by the same Indian family. Oh,
in New York at least.
In New York at least.
But
was that racist?
them in Hudson News? You ever notice that?
Yeah, Hudson News. Every goddamn airport. Every goddamn airport.
So my thing was just like, I get the situation, I see it, it didn't get my blood boiling, but I was like, I saw how it played out, and I was like, fine.
Yeah.
And knowing what I know of Starbucks, I'm like, they're gonna do something about this because, like I said, what I know of the company. But when everybody was saying boycott Starbucks, I was like, that's not it's not Starbucks.
It's not Starbucks.
It's that person,
right?
That manager, and you're targeting this whole company. But Starbucks, apparently, they're gonna shut down all their stores on, I think it's May 29th.
Yeah. What are white people gonna do?
They're shutting down all the stores in the United States. You know how much money they're gonna lose?
That's just crazy.
That's like a bold statement right there, man.
Their stock's gonna take a dip. A pretty big dip.
I don't think it's, last time I checked, the stock was like at 53.
Yeah, well, it's gonna take a dip and then it's gonna go up. I think.
I think this isn't a bad move for them. I think this is like
it's good. It's very good publicity
move for them.
No, it's very good publicity.
I'm like, damn, you're sitting there, you're gonna sit there and tell the world like this shit ain't gonna be tolerated. You're gonna lose money.
Not in our establishment
to make that. I'm like, that's a fucking bold statement.
You gonna start drinking Starbucks coffee?
I mean, I drink the coffee.
Oh, they said it's burnt.
It is burnt.
You drink burnt coffee on purpose?
Whatever's convenient, man.
Fair enough.
Like if I'm walking somewhere,
I'm not mad at that.
I'll go wherever's convenient. I hate waiting in the line, so whoever has the shortest line, I'm gonna grab a cup.
There you go.
I just hate certain stores with my job because that shit doesn't stay warm, and I don't know why, and it pisses me off.
Certain stores? What do you mean certain?
It's there's two carts. What do you call them?
The carts.
The food cart guys. Yeah. One guy's cart is fine. His shit stays hot. The other guy's cart, I'm like, why is it so warm?
You gotta come to the cart by my job on 33rd.
The fucking cart's ridiculous.
Yes, that cart
has fucking bacon, egg, and cheese.
Yes, but that cart's coffee is so hot.
Yeah, but that cart's ridiculous.
Yes,
man.
that cart does everything you need. You want a burrito, a breakfast burrito, bacon, egg, and cheese. They've got like 9 different sandwiches they make. They make like
they're all made fresh.
Right there, right in front of you. Wow. But dude, this guy's coffee is so hot that you can't hold. You have to hold it by the lid and the bottom because it's so hot it burns your hand. This coffee stays hot for like 6 hours in your cup.
That's the thing. I just wanted to. It doesn't have to. I just wanted to stay hot.
It stays molten lava all day.
I'm like, man, why is my? Cause it's like,
and it's cheap. A bacon, egg, and cheese and a large coffee is like $4.
Not bad.
And that's 2 eggs.
Yo, what time do they open? Because I always go to jiu-jitsu. I can pick something up.
The cart?
Yeah.
Oh, they're open by time.
I get off the train for class.
I've gotten. Well, they're there because the construction workers. So they're open early because they're there for all those construction workers on 9th Avenue. Oh. So they're probably open like 6:37.
So I might do that for next time I go to class. Get something, just pick it up and then go to class.
You're okay. So
because I would get out at Penn Station.
Yeah. Oh,
right
okay.
There on 33rd.
Yeah, 33rd. Walk up towards 9th. It's right at the corner. There's 2 now. The guy who
I think the exit is on 8th.
Yeah, the guy who owns that cart was making so much money. He bought another cart. So now he has one cart at the corner of 33rd and 9th, and then you cross the street heading towards 10th, and on that first corner is his cart. So he moved the original cart up and put a new cart, and I think his girlfriend's running the new one. Go to the original cart. They still make the better bacon, egg, and cheese.
Let's go back to Starbucks.
Okay, sorry. Everybody knows my love for bacon, egg, and cheese. It's a big thing in my life.
Hangover is a hangover sandwich too.
It's the quality of the food cart. It's very important in New York City lifestyle.
So there was another incident that I saw in
at Starbucks.
Well, not at Starbucks, but this was during this week.
Okay.
Right? I don't think there's anything else to say about the first incident. I'm just glad the guys got out of jail.
Yeah, me too. That would have been terrible.
With no charges. So
right.
I was like, that's good. So there was a second incident I saw online. I don't know the location exactly, but I saw the video, but I have a couple things about the video that bothered me. So a guy just goes in, a black male goes into Starbucks to use a restroom, right? And they tell him, like, well, you got to buy something, right? Which is, I understand that, but he was just like, I just want to use the restroom. They're like, well, you got to buy something, or we're not going to give you the code, right? So apparently he records the first guy that comes out the restroom, and he's like, hey, he's on camera. The guy's on camera, and he introduces himself. He's like, "Did you buy anything before you used the restroom?" He's like, "Nah." He's like, "I just went in and used the code." So then the guy who has the camera, he goes over and he's like, "Yeah, I'm at Starbucks, blah blah blah, and they didn't let me use the restroom. This is racist, blah blah." And I'm just like, "Okay, dude, I get it." But so he starts recording the manager, right? And the manager is just like, "Don't record me." She's like, "You don't have my permission to record me. You should leave the store right now." She's being calm about it. This is the guy's going on about racism, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, let me just keep watching the video. So there's more of that, and the manager's getting pissed. She's like, "You need to leave now. I'm going to call the police, blah, blah, blah." So from the caption that I read, it said he left with security. Security walked him out. And
Starbucks got security.
My thing is like this. I think that guy was in the wrong for making a video about it because he was making a scene about something.
Right.
And it was like whether that guy who came out the restroom had the key code or not. He never said he never said he got it from the manager. He just said, "I entered the code and went into the bathroom." He could have fucking known this shit. I don't know.
It's probably his local Starbucks and he knows the code.
But my thing is this. It was like this is one thing that I hate about when people say racism. I'm like, if you know somebody's being racist to you, why do you want to be in their establishment?
I've been saying that forever.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
why do you want
begging somebody, "Hey, you're racist to me"? Maybe they fucking are. Like, why do you want to feel accepted so much from somebody who doesn't want you? I never understand that mentality with people.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. But that's a very good point.
So this guy pulls out his video and he's making a video, and I'm like, first of all, you're fucking up because you're making a scene about something. You're making it bigger than what it is. You're causing your own self problems for this shit. Now, is this really something that you need to get involved with the police for because they didn't let you use the restroom?
That's crazy.
Is this an issue that needs to be that? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about, and when I see people do shit like that on the internet, I'm like, this is why people don't respect us, because y'all fucking, like, every little thing is like, it's like an issue, and it's like, stop. Think about it for a second. Be like, is this something you need to fight for?
Right.
Or is this something you should be like, you know what? I'm tired of giving these people my money and they treat me like shit. Let me go get my money down a block where they love me and they my people and they treat me great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely.
It's like, pick the fucking battle, man, instead of fucking crying about shit.
That's a great point. I never thought about that way. But yeah, it's like, why are you spending your time and energy at a place where you're claiming it's racist when you could go to another establishment that will most likely let you use the bathroom anyways? I mean, I don't know. That's very strange.
Like, I love Harlem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I really didn't get to appreciate Harlem until I met my girl, because she lives in Harlem, right? So she lived on one side of Harlem. I lived on the other side of Harlem. And the side I knew about, the side I lived on, I was like, it's cool. Harlem has stuff, but it was like, I went to her side and it was like, oh shit, this is dope, because everything on her side was just like black owned.
Really?
You know, black African, like black. And I was like, where the fuck have I been? It's beautiful. Coffee shops, bars, bookstores, wine stores. It was like, and I was like, yo, if I'm going to give my money to people, I'm going to give my money to all you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I feel. Like, if I go to bodega, I'm going to go to my bodega on my block, because I know it's run by Arabs, you know, rather than going to like some other foo store. You know, if I'm on 145th and I'm going to my brunch plots, I'm like, oh, they local people that own this shit.
Yeah.
And I love that. I don't have to go to these restaurants I used to go to downtown that treat me like shit. I'm like, nah, I'm going to go to my local spot.
Right.
Like, they going to treat me great, give me good food. I'm going to keep going there. And it's like, the idea of like going to places that treat you like crap, well, you know they're going to treat you like crap. Chances are it ain't the first time it happened.
Right. That's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think nowadays, especially in New York City, we don't have that same like community support, because there's so many people here and there's so many businesses, and it's so easy to go from one part of New York City to another that you can go, you know, oh, I live here, I'm going to take the train 30 minutes to a completely different part of the city where nobody knows me and eat here. And then if you get treated like shit, you're just like, well, that's New York City. That's just one restaurant,
Let me write a review about it.
Right.
Fuck that.
And you know, it's very interesting, because even when I lived in Brooklyn my whole life, across the street for the last couple of years, there was a restaurant that I would go to. And eventually, if you go to a place long enough, people recognize you, remember you, and they treat you really well. Like, they give you free booze. They'll bring you extra stuff for your food. They'll even comp your meal sometimes. Like, I had one experience where I was going with some friends of mine. I think it may have been, it was with my girlfriend and her family. And the place it was like Sunday brunch. It was packed. And I saw the owner, and he remembered me because it was a new owner, and I had gone to the bar a couple times. And he was like, you know what, hang tight. And as soon as one of the two of the tables cleared up, he saved both tables, put them together, and made room for us. Which, there was still a line of people waiting to get in, and he made that especially for us because he knew me, he remembered me. Yeah. So every time I would go, I'd always make sure if I was gonna go out to have dinner, I would always make sure that would be my first option. And even now, where I live uptown, we have a pretty decent selection of places to eat, and all along one street's all Hispanic restaurants owned by Hispanics. Yeah. I don't know if they live in this area, but still, but they've probably been here for a long time. So supporting that, I mean, we have an Irish bar we go to a lot, and I'm pretty sure the people who own that bar have been in this area. They own another bar in this area as well. They also own the Bronx Brewery. Okay, so they've probably been around Dominicans their whole life. But everything around here we eat. Like, I like eating at the local joints around here because eventually they know you. They take care of you, and it's a good feeling knowing that you're giving to the people who stay in this neighborhood. But I know exactly what you're saying though. Like, where if we go eat around where we work or where we train, or whatever, like, it's not the same. Like, you're just another customer. You come in, you get served. If you have a bad experience, no one cares. But like, if you come eat up here, and they know they're gonna see you again, and they know you're part of the community, they're gonna make sure they take care of you. They're gonna make sure you that you're happy with the service they're providing.
There's sort of comfort.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good word. It's comfort.
Like, I'll go into a bar, and I might not have been in there in months, but I'll see the owner, and she'll be like, hey, because she remembers me. She remembers me and my girl. And I'm like, they don't have to compass or anything, but it's just a good feeling.
Yeah, to be remembered.
Yeah, it's like, just support.
It's a belonging. You feel like you belong.
Yeah, I just feel like, me, man. I feel like money is power.
Right.
Right. So you want to have power. The only way people are going to listen to you is like with not with wealth, but it's like your way of controlling the narrative.
Right.
So if a company doesn't like you, then why go to that company? Like the other day when this thing came out with Starbucks, I was like, well, Starbucks isn't racist. I was like, Tommy Hilfiger, not Marc Jacobs. What's his name? Tommy Hilfiger, Michael Kors, Chick-fil-A. Yeah. What's another one? There was one more that I mentioned. And I was like, these are brands that actually said things against the community of people of color. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't want people wearing their brands or something.
I remember the Tommy Hilfiger thing.
Or Chick-fil-A actually donating money to right-wing hate groups. Yeah. This is on record. It's like New York Times, Huffington Post, there's articles about the shit. People boycotted at NYU because before they opened up a Chick-fil-A in the city, they had one on campus for the students. The only
one in the city the longest time was in the NYU
boycotted
campus.
That shit. Yeah. It's like, because they donated money to Southern right-wing groups that are classified as hate groups. Yeah. Right? Chick-fil-A has a long history of that shit because it's a Christian company. Right. Right. I used to work for them too when I was in El Paso. Great food though.
Them chicken.
Great food.
Is that why you don't eat fried chicken?
No. I'll just high cholesterol.
I'll never forget that. Quick side story. I was in the elevator one time with Smalls, and we were talking about going to this Korean barbecue spot to get fried chicken. And he's like, I don't like fried chicken. I don't eat fried chicken. Yeah. And there was another woman in the elevator with us who also happened to be black. Yeah. And she's like, what you mean you don't eat fried chicken? He goes, I don't need the cholesterol. And they got into a whole argument on this elevator ride down to the first floor. It was one of the oddest things I've ever seen, but it was one of my fondest memories of Smalls.
Yeah, man.
That fucking elevator.
I still eat fried chicken. It's like a burger. I'm very
particular.
It's like I can't have it every day.
So if I plop down a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich right now,
I wouldn't eat it.
No?
The last time I had Chick-fil-A, I did it on a work thing.
Okay.
Because I actually worked near there in Midtown at this one company.
They opened up the second one.
I don't know. I just know.
There's one on 36. There's one on 46. And then they're opening a huge one downtown by Wall Street.
I ain't going to any of them.
They're going to open the biggest Chick-fil-A ever in Wall Street. I ain't
going to any of them. So I had to go. I was at this work thing, and they were like, oh, let's grab lunch here. It's on us. And I'm like, Well, if I must. I mean, I'm not paying.
You're not paying. It's not your money.
But no, man, my principle is I don't fuck with that company.
Right.
Now, since then, that company has made improvements to try to change their image.
Right.
Right. And they put on events. They put on concerts. Had 3 6 Mafia perform at one of their stores.
That shit's wild.
Was
Juicy J was performing at Chick-fil-A?
Who was it? It was one of it was not. No, it was. You know what? Yes, I believe it was because it was right before their split as a group because they're no longer together.
Right.
But I think it was like somewhere down south.
Did he have like strippers on a dancing pole with some chicken on him?
I don't know. I saw the article and I was like,
Juicy J is one of my favorite rappers of all time.
I don't know.
His rhymes are the best. He's the most ratchet rapper. Like if you listen to his lyrics in the opening lyrics of No Limit Remix, it's amazing. He goes, "I'll break a bitch like China broke Rob." I was like, oh snap! Oh, when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, these bars. It was, even the Juicy, even the Katy Perry song with Juicy J on it.
Yeah, amazing.
Lyrical genius. Juicy J is perhaps one of the greatest lyricists of our time. Okay, wow. Now that I got that, now everybody's gonna be like, you're obsessed with Keanu Reeves and Juicy J. Yes, I am. Both.
Gomez is, yeah.
Both.
But nah, it's like. These brands I just don't fuck with.
Yeah, and that's fair. There's brands.
It's like if you don't like a podcast, don't watch it. Right. You don't like a TV show, don't watch it.
This is what I tell people all the time. I'm like, if you don't like
these motherfuckers,
I support companies that I like. Like same thing with jiu-jitsu. I only wear gis from one company. Now, not everybody likes that company, right? But I do. I know the owners. They're cool with me. They've treated me well. The face you're making is hilarious.
Fuck them.
Oh no! See now I can't mention their name. Anyways, I work. They're friends of mine. They've always taken care of me. And I've photographed for other companies. Yeah. I've worked for other jiu-jitsu companies. Yeah. And they're cool. Those are cool dudes. But like I don't have that same relationship with them. Like the company that I don't represent. But the company that I choose to wear, and I don't even buy gis from them, to be honest. They're given to me.
I wear gis with no logos.
Right. I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
But, like, I support them because I like their design. Which is why I own. You worked for them, too. And I worked
for many people.
Right. But I own every gi you've made from that company. I own.
I sold them all.
You know they're re-releasing the Mamba, right? But they changed the colorway. I don't know if they're using your art, though. I don't think they are. They're not. It's black and gold, and purple. Yeah,
I'm over all those gi stuff, man.
I am too. I haven't bought a gi in the longest, although I kind of want to buy the Mamba coming out tomorrow because it's the Mamba and the colors are dope. You don't have the original one, right, anymore?
I have mine.
You still have yours?
I only have 2 gis. I have the original one that I made, which is shrunk. Have the bag and everything, and then I have one I did for Tatami that I made a design. It was cool, and then they just fucking. And if you're listening, yeah, I'm saying it. You fucked it up because they made like a big red.
Like, I remember that.
Like, what the fuck is this ugly piece of crap, man?
And they didn't tell you they were gonna do that?
Hell no.
Jesus.
And then I gave I did a kids one that came out pretty cool. I gave it to my nephew because he was doing karate. I should get that back. He's no longer doing karate.
Oh, yeah.
So give it back to me.
You know how much your Mamba gi original one is going for? How much? Like brand new in the bag, like $700. Brand new. I think your gi is up there with like the original like few models they came out with, the rare ones. Yours is up there, and the koi isn't that far behind it either. If you have a brand new koi and bag, that thing's like $400.
There's a book that came out a little while ago, the Bull Terrier book.
Oh yeah.
Do you think I'm in it? That book's expensive though, so I don't want to order it if I'm not in it. It's like a gi collecting.
But
book.
why the
brand? They put out a gi collecting book.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's from other brands as well?
Yeah.
Oh, you're definitely...
It's on their website.
Oh, you're definitely in it. How much is the book?
I think it was like maybe $50 the last time I checked.
That's not bad.
I don't know. But I didn't want to buy it if I'm not in it.
I might buy that book. Yeah. But I'm almost certain you're in it. You have to be.
I should be.
You're probably... A few of your gis are probably in there. The Mamba, the Koi, the Oryx, which I actually I don't have the Oryx anymore. I gifted it to my cousin who started training.
The beefcake with the scissors. I did that.
You did but that one never came. That one did come
It's
out.
out because guys at the gym have.
I forgot you did the beefcake.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what we're talking about, it's like, what the fuck is this motherfucker talking about? Beefcakes.
Yo, I did so much shit.
I mean, I'm telling you, there's what's hilarious is that, like I said, my cousin started training and his roommate started training, and we have to have you on they have to have us both on his podcast. But he was talking about, he didn't realize we were podcast mates. He didn't realize you were the same John that's John Smalls, the artist.
Most people aren't.
Yeah, they don't realize that that's you. And he's like, yeah, I saw this guy for this artist named John Smalls. It has like this cool dragon in it. I'm like, you realize, we're talking, this is off air before we start. I'm like, you realize that's the guy I do the podcast with, right? He goes, what? I'm like, yeah, I have that guy at home. Like, that's my boy. I've known him. We started jiu-jitsu at the same time. Like, I know all the gis that he did them. And he was like, why is he here? I was like, I don't know. You just invited me. I don't know what's going on here.
It's like people, like, they'll be at the school and they'll wear like any of the designs I have. And I get a kick out of it, man.
Because they don't know that the person who designed it is right next to
them.
him.
Yeah, they'd be like, hey, what's up, man? I'm so-and-so. And I'm like, hey, I'm John.
I'm John.
And it'll be like, I'll see my logo, or I'll see like the Japanese kanji.
Yep.
Or not kanji, but hiragana.
Hiragana.
But it's my name.
Yeah.
You know, of my actual stamp that I got.
Yeah.
My friend in Japan made it for me. So it was like, I'll see that on the Oryx, and I'm just like,
the Oryx was one of the dopest gis. Just the contrast, the blue and then the yellow, and the little parachute.
I made that pattern and all that.
That was dope.
Yeah,
that's good. See, folks, this is why John Smalls is a successful artist. You know you're successful when you see people wearing your art and they don't know it's you.
Yeah.
And you're just like, hey, what's up? It's a cool jacket
cool.
you got there. It's a cool gi you got there.
Yeah.
I'd be doing that all the time. Like, that's a real nice gi you got there.
Sometimes I say that.
Yeah, like, you ever wonder who did
like,
it?
oh, I like that.
And then you'd be like, you want a picture?
or if I'll see like, cause you know we got when you come into jiu-jitsu, you got the lockers on top.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll see the gi bag and it'd be like, the brand with like John Smalls.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. I get a kick out of it, but I like it more where people don't know me.
Right.
I don't want people to know me.
I got recognized once.
Yeah.
I was at the gym, our gym, shooting. I forget who was I shooting. I think I was just shooting people training. And this guy comes up, he goes, "Are you Steven Gomez?" I'm like, I was like, oh. I was like, yeah. He goes, yo, I follow you on Instagram, man. You're like one of the best jiu-jitsu photographers out there. And I was like, thanks, man. And it was weird. It felt cool for somebody to recognize like me. But then I was like, oh no, I'm a jiu-jitsu photographer. I was like, oh no. Yeah. I just got pigeonholed. Yep. And then the guy's like, can I get a picture? I was like,
$5.
I was right. I was about to say $5. I was like, I guess. Yeah. I was like, you want a photo with me? I was like, okay. He was like from Australia or something. I don't know. I guess they don't have photographers over there. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to be recognized for your stuff, or in your case, not to be recognized, but to see people actively wearing your stuff.
I like that more.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why.
Like, if I just see like a rash guard, just something, I'm like, that's dope.
I got your rash guards in the bedroom over there in my jiu-jitsu class. I still have all your stuff.
I still have those.
The koi doesn't fit me anymore, unfortunately, because it shrank too much.
I just don't have any gis except for
the Mamba was my favorite, and the pants ripped. I still have the jacket in my parents' place. It's folded up, but it's all stained and it shrank. When I put it on, it came over like to the middle of my forearm.
That's how my gi was earlier today.
Yeah.
I trained this morning.
Oh yeah.
It was like,
Jesus.
I was like, what? Time to get rid of this shit.
I'm not gonna lie though. There have been times where I've looked at on eBay like for a brand new Mamba to buy one, and I'm like, I've thought about it. I was like, I could drop $500 on this gi right now.
I thought about buying all of mine back
and just having them.
Yeah.
That would be quite a big investment you'd have to put in there.
I would do it one day.
But the beefcakes was it widely released?
No, I wouldn't. Well, I've seen it. Like, there's a lot of.
I've only seen 2 people with it.
You know what? I don't want to go into the details of it, but there's a lot of stuff that I've done for not just that company, but a lot of companies
that have never come out
that haven't came out, but they still have the artwork.
Right.
You know, there's even stuff that I used to have on my website. Maybe one day I'll put a catalog of it, like a PDF together. That would be cool.
You can share that stuff though, right?
Yeah, because it's all my stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Like, even though they're reprinting it, I own it. It's my art. You know? If I want to go out and just print up my own shit, I could do that. And legally, there's nothing they can do about it.
That would be cool. How long have you been working on? Like, how long? I guess from when you started till now has it been that you've worked on jiu-jitsu stuff, like gis?
I think I started jiu-jitsu in 2009,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I first did a gi project in 2010.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, 2010 to 2011. I think that was the time, and then from there, like I still do stuff. Like there's a client I have in Costa Rica. I still do logos for him and shit.
That's awesome.
There's a few people from Europe who always contact me. I'm like, but my thing is like at right now, I'm just nobody's letting me do what I want to do. So when they come at me with ideas, I'm like, no, unless it's somebody that I have a long history with, and I know they're reliable. They're not gonna come at me with a bunch of changes. I'm like, cool, I'll continue to work with you. But other people, I'm like, nah, because they be like, why not? I'm like, stupid idea.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Like if you want to hire me to do something, let me do something creative. And if not, because all the projects that people love from what I do, it's always been a creative shit. It's like that grip. I consider the grips piece a masterpiece, one of my masterpieces in my career. When I look back and I'm like, what was a great piece? That grips piece.
You know how many comments I get on that pin?
Tell me.
A lot.
Good.
Every day somebody points at that pin. It's like, what's that? And I get to explain what it is and then who did it and what. Like, because at first they're like, why does he have so many hands?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, the whole idea is, jiu-jitsu, there's grips and everything. Everything's a grip. And they're just like blown away by it. But even like today, there was a guy actually at the job who trained jiu-jitsu. He's visiting, and he saw the pin. He came over to me, and he was like, "Do you train jiu-jitsu?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I know that. I've seen that picture before. I've seen that." I was like, "Yeah, my buddy does it, blah, John Smalls." And he was, we spoke for a few minutes, and he had to leave. But like, people recognize that piece. Like they know, they see it.
I've seen a bootleg.
Yeah, that's when you made it. When you got when you get bootleg, that's when you've reached a level where your
fans told me.
That's right.
I was like, oh shit. And I emailed the guy and he was like, yo, I'm sorry. He was like, I wasn't selling it. It was just they were putting it on their gis at the school. And I was like, I get it, but you can't do that, man.
Yeah, he's putting. What do you mean? He was putting it on.
He wasn't even here in America.
He was like what, making patches out of it?
I think it was just his gi.
Okay.
And he got somebody to embroider the thing, the design on the back. And but he was blasting it all over the internet, taking pictures. Oh, look at this, blah blah blah. And he was like, but he told me he's like, I wasn't selling it. I saw people that could do it, so I did it. I was like, I'm not trying to bootleg your shit. And I was like, well, that's what you're doing, so I'm telling you it's not cool. And the people, they told me, they was like, oh, check this shit out. I was like, about the internet, people will tell you if some shit is foul.
Yeah.
Like Merkatsu, Seymour, he's a good guy. And he's always getting his shit bootleg, man. He don't even care at this point. Yeah. He's like, because he's like, it's ridiculous.
Once it gets to a level where it's happening so much, there's nothing you can do about it.
And he's always posting about it. I'm like, it's fucked up, but it's like, what can you really do, man? It's like people just they are literally taking his stuff.
Yeah.
Just like not even changing it.
Just taking it.
I was like, what the hell, man?
Zero respect for for intellectual property. I mean, I haven't had any of my stuff really taken like that, so it's hard for me to relate. I haven't experienced that, but I can only imagine the feeling of seeing something you've worked on be taken and like used for other purposes, and you're just like, shit,
Yeah, especially when somebody's making a profit off of it.
Yeah, when somebody's making a profit off your hard work, it's fucked up.
Like I've seen my picture, that grips piece, like reposted with different quotes and stuff like that, or tagged with schools, and I'm like, okay. But they're not making a profit off of it.
Right, they're not earning any money off of it.
People
they're
always
just
tag
using
me in it, though.
Right.
And I'm like, that's cool, but I'm like, I'm not going to trip because they're not selling anything.
Yeah. If they're not making money, then, you probably shouldn't be making money off of it, right? But if you're going to use it for something, I feel like if you're going to, like, print it out and put it at your gym or something, you should probably just buy a copy from the artist so that you can support the person who's doing this dope art you like.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's gyms that have come to you for their stuff, right? So clearly you're recognized as
I've done paintings and commissions.
So you're recognized as an artist who can do work. Yeah. I mean, same thing kind of applies for me. I even yesterday, my day off, I went to a gym in New Jersey.
Wait, you said you had to do a photo shoot, right?
Yeah, he wants me to come by and shoot. He wants me to. Well, I was there for some other thing, but he wanted me to. He's like, he had seen some shots that I had done for another gym, but he didn't realize those were my shots.
Okay.
And he was like, you should try doing shots like this. I'm like, those are my shots. Those are my photos. He's like, oh, that's awesome. And then you should come by the gym sometime and shoot the class or whatever. I'm like, yeah, we could work something out. I don't know if the days that he wants me to come by are possible with my schedule right now, but yeah, just to go do some stuff. I'm picky about my jiu-jitsu photography now.
You should be.
I'm like, I don't do it for just anybody, and then if I do it, it's because I actually want to.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'll be doing any more jiu-jitsu related shoots anytime soon.
That's where I messed up.
Like gi shoots.
That's where I messed up in the beginning. I was so happy to do like freelance for companies,
right,
and make logos for people and do products for people, and it was like I oversaturated, and it was like I should have been more restrictive.
Yeah, make your work scarce.
Yeah, so like now that's what I do. And I'm like, nah, I still do freelance. I still do commissions, but I'm very, very particular. Man.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be to protect your brand, your name.
Yeah, I think it's important, too, that we kind of have, and that's one of those flexibility things that we have since we have full-time jobs, and we don't rely specifically on the freelance thing for our income, that we can be that picky and choosy. Like, if we're going to dedicate time to doing something, it's got to be something that we're actually interested in, and something that we want to put the effort into and that means something. So like when I do portraits of people, when I do stuff, like I'm very conscious of what I'm doing. And if I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to do it. And yeah, I think that's one of the positives that we tend to overlook as having full-time jobs, artists who have full-time jobs. We can afford to be that picky, because if we're trying to feed ourselves with that art, then sometimes we wouldn't have a choice and we'd have to do jobs that we didn't want to, simply so we could have something to eat, or keep the rent paid. So I don't know. That's just a quick thought on that. Shifting gears, you saw a statue. There's an issue with the statue in Central Park.
Oh yeah.
That you want to touch on before?
So there was a statue up on the Upper West Side, I believe, near maybe the Guggenheim or right before the Guggenheim. So what's that, like the 100s or 80s or something? Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. Statue of Doctor Who experimenting on enslaved black woman removed from Central Park, East Harlem. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I said Upper West Side. East Harlem, east side of the park. I walked by there a few times, and I've seen groups of women protesting, like not like heavy, but like, 3, 4 of them. With signs just to get some attention.
Sure.
My thing and this is with all parks or everywhere. So I think it's bad to take them down.
Bad to take the statues down.
Yeah. I don't agree with it, because it's like you're wiping away the history. Now, this is my reason why. The statues were put there for a reason. Whether we like the reason or not, the statue were put there for the reason. I don't believe that taking them down is helping anything. Okay. I say keep them up, but at least maybe build a booth or build some type of, or have a facility or something, or make a plaque or put information out there that tells a real story behind it. Be like, this statue was erected for this person, blah, 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 for these reasons. But at 2018, we decided to shared, I don't know, I'm not right there. Yeah. But something is shared to share the true story of like the heinous acts that this person did.
Right.
Like in a sense, like to shame them. Right. Instead of, let's erase it. Like, no, let's not erase it. Let's keep the shit there. But let's tell the brutal truth about it. Right. So if somebody was a slave owner, but people are telling that person as a hero, okay, you want to tell that person as a hero? Fine, keep that up. But here's some other information about the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't erase it, add to it, but tell the full story.
Yeah. I never really.
That's how I feel about it.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure. I've never really had an opinion one way or the other about that whole statue thing in general. A couple months ago when they were tearing down all the southern statues in the southern states. Yeah. At first I was like, do you really have to tear them down? But on the other hand, I'm like, they're kind of shitty to have up. Especially like the Confederate soldiers, like I get they're heroes to white Southerners at that time, but that also represents like the white Southerners aren't the only people that have to look at this thing, and it reminds a lot of people about the bad stuff that's happened and what that war was about. But like, I think I'm more leaning towards what you.
But that
said.
is the history of America.
Yes, and
There will always be the history of
yeah,
America.
I think maybe the connotation of the statue should be changed, like you're saying. Like instead of like this is a Southern war hero, you could be like this was a person who participated in the Civil War, and this is this is his story in its entirety, both good and bad.
Yeah,
he may have been a good person, but he fought on the wrong side of history.
It's like in Texas, they changed. And I believe this started a couple of years ago. They changed the history books about African slave trade. Right? They stopped calling it the slave trade. They don't even use the word involuntary servitude. There was a new word that they came up with, and I was like, "This is bullshit."
God damn, really?
Yeah, man. It's just another way of sugarcoating history, and it's like, no, tell it the way it is.
Yeah.
Like I don't like whenever I see the statue taken down, I'm like, I get it. You're pissed off. You're offended. But I don't want to live in that. I don't want to live in a world where people are offended by everything and they feel like can get what they want. It's like, oh, okay, so you're upset now. You're upset at Starbucks now, so they're going to shut down all the Starbucks. What next, Popeyes? You're going to be upset at Popeyes chicken? You're going to shut them all down?
I hope they don't.
No.
I like Popeye's chicken.
You know? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's important that, I don't know. It's weird because it's a public space and you've got to have people around. Like when I was a kid, it's different now, but when you're a kid in school, in public school, at least in New York City, you get Columbus Day off and you're told about Columbus, but you're not told the entire story of Columbus. And then in Columbus Circle here in Manhattan on 59th Street, you have the statue of Columbus, Christopher Columbus. And you look at it, and nowadays you look at it and you're like, well,
He was brutal.
He was brutal. He really wasn't like the only dude. He wasn't the first dude to make it to North America because they proved the Vikings got here before him.
Egyptians.
I don't know. We'll talk about that on another
episode.
episode.
A book. They came here before Columbus.
Allegedly, there's no real proof.
There's the Olmecs, all through Central and South America. You don't know about the Olmecs?
I know about the Olmecs.
How's that not proof?
Because those symbols that the Olmecs use have been found in every civilization, and there's theories that those symbols don't relate to particular cultures, but they relate to geometric things that are instilled within humanity.
They're big, gigantic heads of Africans.
Allegedly.
What do you mean? Have you seen them?
Yeah,
they're huge. I'll lend you the book.
Okay.
It's called what did I just say? They came before Columbus?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good book.
Right. Okay.
Very good book.
I'll read the book. But
yes,
that just goes on to further prove that Columbus wasn't as important as history used to make him out to be.
Of course not.
Right. So I look at that statue whenever I'm on Columbus Circle, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, do we really need the statue here? He is important in history. He's an important figure in history.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say he's not an important figure, but as the saying usually goes, the victor of the war usually writes the history, and he came out on top, so he got to write the history of essentially history. And it's hard to kind of make peace with that fact that like I kind of like the statue here, but I also kind of don't want it here.
If that's the case, then we have to get rid of all the statues of history because every president
did something fucked up.
Every person who was a part of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and all that did something fucked up. Because
it's true.
Even if they didn't intentionally do something fucked up, that's how life was back then.
Absolutely.
So at some point they had slaves or they abused slaves or some atrocity.
Some atrocity took place. It never ends. It's very true.
Or it could be like Germany. What they did was just completely eradicate any trace of Nazis.
You see, I think that's interesting what they did, but I don't know if I agree with that either. Because that's like, because then when you make it, because it's illegal to even own any Nazi paraphernalia if you're not like a museum or something. So I feel like that creates like a thing for people to want to have something. You know, like when you can't have something, you want it. I feel like that. And I know a lot of German people, and you know, like if you bring up World War II or the Holocaust or Nazis, they get real sensitive about that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I don't think that Germany's ever going to get over. But I think that completely erasing like that ever happened Like, you can't. That's something you can't erase. So I think it's better to have it out in the open and be like, yeah, this is what we did, and it sucks, and we're wrong. Because look at it, they did that, and I mean, we have Nazis in America, and we're the ones who beat the Nazis. I don't get it. You know, it's one of those. When I see Americans like neo-Nazis in America with swastikas and stuff, I'm like, it's one of the things that perplexes me the most.
Like your grandfather fought them in a war,
right? Like the odds that you had a family member in 44 or whatever that was in Germany fighting, like, are very high. Yeah. What is wrong with you? It's I don't know. These are things that we talk about at Chico and the Grin that perplex us, and we can't figure it out. So maybe you can. Maybe you should write in and send us emails and tell us if you know what's going on.
We don't have all the answers.
We don't. We'd like to.
Just two guys with opinions.
And beers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to touch on any things before we close off?
Nah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for episode number 21 of Chico and the Grin. Like we
21.
Like we always ask you at the end of every episode, please rate us on iTunes, on Google Play. Drop us a review, a rating, something. Let us know you're listening. We appreciate it. It helps us a huge amount if you leave a review. We're always trying to build the following, always trying to garner a bigger audience, and every review helps. Good or bad, just leave one. Hopefully it's a good one. If not, we'd still appreciate it anyways.
Maybe.
Social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're not on Snapchat, but Instagram is the best way to connect with us if you want to, get in touch with us instantly. Instagram all the time.
All day.
Send us an email, chicoandthegrin@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, if you don't like what you hear, you want us to read something, if you want to tell us, how many cats you have, anything, just send us an email. We'll be happy to talk to you. Anything else you want to mention?
Nah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. That was episode number 21. We'll be back in about a week and a half. Maybe we'll talk about Infinity War. Maybe we won't. Maybe aliens will finally be here. Maybe we'll all be dead.
Doomsday was supposed to happen.
Oh, yeah.
It got pushed back to the 23rd.
Okay, so
we might not be here.
What was the original? What was the original day?
The 18th.
The 18th. 18th came and went. Nothing happened.
Nothing.
Right? Is today the 18th?
Yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so came and went. Nothing happened, and we're waiting until the 23rd.
23rd.
If you don't hear back from us after the 23rd, either we're all dead, or we probably just forgot to record that episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chico.
I'm the Grin.
Peace.